What happens when you stay silent for 30 days? People start to assume you're playing games, that you're trying to manipulate or punish or get attention, that you're giving them the cold shoulder just to make them chase you. But what they never realize is, this silence was never about them. It was about you finally choosing peace over chaos. It was about self-preservation. It was about finally being done, because silence isn't always passive. Sometimes silence is the loudest scream of self-respect. You're not trying to prove a point. You're not trying to win anything. You're just tired. Tired of repeating yourself. Tired of explaining your heart to people who only listen with their ego. Tired of pouring into empty cups that never pour back. So instead of more arguments, more breakdowns, more trying to fix what keeps breaking, you go quiet. At first, that silence feels like punishment. For you, not for them. You sit with your thoughts. You overthink. You feel guilt. You wonder if maybe you're being too harsh, too cold, too distant. You replay every conversation in your head. You wonder if they're even noticing your absence. You stare at your phone, hoping it buzzes, hoping they care. But deep down, you already know the truth. If someone truly valued you, you wouldn't have to go silent for them to hear you. And in that silence, something powerful begins to shift. You stop checking your phone. You stop justifying your silence. You stop waiting. You start healing. You start seeing things for what they really were, not what you hoped they would be. You start feeling the weight of everything you used to carry for people who never once asked if you were okay. And instead of feeling weak for walking away, you start to feel strong for finally letting go. You start to realize silence doesn't mean weakness. It means clarity. It means you've learned that not everyone deserves a reaction. Not everyone deserves access. And most importantly, not everyone deserves your voice. Because when your presence has been taken for granted, your silence becomes your greatest power. So what really happens when you stay silent for 30 days? Everything changes, starting with you. Day 1 feels empty, not peaceful, not powerful, just hollow. You go silent, and nothing happens. No call, no message, no sign that they even noticed you disappeared. And that silence, it screams, louder than any argument ever could. You stare at your phone, telling yourself you won't look. You tell yourself you don't care. But the truth is, you do. You wanted this silence to make them realize something, to feel something, to miss you, but they don't. Or maybe they do, and they just won't show it. That's what hurts the most. Because they've seen you go quiet before. You'd fall back, reflect, cry, but then you'd reach out every time. You'd break the silence just to feel heard, just to feel like you mattered. And they got used to it. They stopped taking your silence seriously. They started treating your boundaries like pauses in the script, like you were just waiting for your cue to come back and play your part again, but not this time. This silence is different. It isn't about punishing them. It isn't about making them chase you. It's not a test. It's a turning point. It's the moment you finally chose yourself. No closure, no confrontation, just calm. Not the fake kind you force when you're dying inside, but real calm. The kind that comes from knowing you've had enough. And yes, it hurts. Of course it does. Day 1 isn't strength, it's survival. You question yourself 100 times. You rehearse conversations in your head that will never happen. But underneath all that noise, there's something growing. A seed of self-respect. Quiet, steady, alive, and that's where the power begins. Not when they miss you, not when they call, but when you stop needing them to. By day 3, something shifts. The silence that felt empty at first now feels alive. It's no longer just the absence of noise. It has weight, texture, tension. It's not loud, not angry, not dramatic, but it's there, quiet, constant, and undeniable. You haven't said a word, but somehow you've said everything, and they feel it. They start hesitating before they post. They open your chat, stare at the blank screen, then close it again. They check your profile more than they'd admit, even to themselves. They wonder if you're watching, if you're waiting, if you're hurting like they hope you are. But they don't reach out, not yet. Their pride still stands tall like a wall. That ego they wear like armor, it's still too heavy to take off. They tell themselves you'll be back, you always are. They don't realize this silence isn't a pause, it's a pattern breaking. And here's the part that stings. For them, and maybe even for you, they miss the control. Because silence doesn't just remove the noise, it removes the dynamic. The one where they always knew what to expect from you. The one where your love was predictable, your responses guaranteed. That control is gone now. And what's left? Uncertainty, discomfort, that gnawing feeling that maybe this time you're really done. And that's when you start to understand something deeper. Silence isn't weak, it's not passive, it's not retreating. It's powerful because it forces people to sit with what they've done without you explaining it to them. It removes their grip, their excuses, their control. And on day 3, that silence finally speaks. I don't need to prove my worth to anyone who never saw it in the first place. By day 7, the confusion creeps in like a slow burning ache. It's no longer just silence, it's discomfort. A question mark that won't leave their mind. Why haven't they said anything? Are they really done this time? What are they thinking? And just like that, the roles begin to reverse. You used to be the one stuck in your head, overthinking every word, replaying every conversation, wondering if you were too much or not enough. You used to stare at your phone, hoping, waiting for something that never came. But now, you're still, quiet, focused, healing, and they're the ones who can't stop thinking. They scroll back to the last message. They hear your voice in the silence. They remember your tone, your pauses, your last look. They start analyzing your distance, not out of love, at least not yet, but out of fear. Fear that they miscalculated, that maybe they pushed too far, that maybe, just maybe, you finally meant it. It's not guilt that gets to them first, it's the loss of control. They were so sure they had you, that no matter how far they pushed, you'd always come back. That your heart was a revolving door, always open for them. But now the door is closed, not slammed, just gently but firmly shut. And that silence, it's louder than any goodbye. Because it doesn't beg, it doesn't plead, it doesn't explain. It just leaves space, space they never expected to feel. And now they sit with it, with the emptiness they created, with the questions they can't answer, with the regret that begins as a whisper and grows louder every day. On day 7, they don't miss you because they love you. They miss you because they lost the power they thought they'd never have to give back. By day 10, the shift doesn't happen in them. It happens in you, quietly, slowly, but powerfully. You wake up and notice something feels lighter, not because everything is fixed, but because you're no longer carrying what was never yours to hold. The silence, which once felt like punishment, now feels like peace. What used to be unbearable, checking your phone and finding nothing, now brings relief. There's no drama waiting, no half-hearted message to decipher, no emotional roller coaster to climb onto, just space, space to breathe, space to heal. You're sleeping deeper, breathing easier, The knot in your chest, it's finally loosening. You no longer live with that constant anticipation, the need to be needed, the fear of being abandoned, the hunger for validation from someone who never truly saw you. That part of you, the one that waited, the one that begged silently to be chosen, is starting to quiet down. And something beautiful takes its place. Clarity, self-respect, a sense of groundedness. You look in the mirror, and this time, you don't see someone who's trying to prove their worth. You see someone who's remembering it. You see strength in your own eyes, calm in your face. You're no longer shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's uncertainty. You realize you're not just surviving this silence, you're growing in it. For the first time in what feels like forever, you're showing up for yourself, not chasing, not explaining, not waiting, just being, just healing. And that's when it clicks. This silence isn't a void, it's a homecoming. By day 10, the silence stops being about them. It becomes a sanctuary, where you finally start to hear your own voice again. By day 14, the silence begins to burn, not in their heart, but in their ego. That's where they feel it first. Because it's not love they're missing, it's control, it's comfort. It's the version of you they had on standby, the one they never thought would walk away. You were their emotional supply, their outlet, their safe zone. You were the one who listened when no one else did, the one who forgave what others wouldn't. You became their unofficial therapist, their backup plan, their personal mirror for validation. And now you've gone silent, without a warning, without a breakdown, without a goodbye, just silence, and they don't know what to do with it. So they start testing the waters. A story post that feels oddly pointed. A song lyric that sounds a little too familiar. A mutual friend suddenly reaching out for no real reason. They post a picture, they share a quote. Something they know will hit you in the gut. Something they hope will make you react, but you don't. You've changed. You see through the games now. You recognize the bait for what it is. And for the first time, you don't bite. No angry message, no emotional reaction, no curious reply. Just silence. And that silence, it cuts deeper than any confrontation ever could, because it tells them the one thing they never thought they'd hear from you. I'm done. Not out of hate, not out of revenge, but from a place of peace. They don't feel your absence in their heart yet, but their ego is bleeding, and your silence, more than any words, is teaching them what it truly means to lose someone who always showed up until they didn't. By day 18, something shifts again. This time it's deeper. It's no longer about confusion or curiosity. Now, they start to feel your absence as a real loss, not because they're lonely. Loneliness is easy to cure with distraction. This is different. This is the weight of consequence. The sting of silence that holds up a mirror they can't escape from. See, before they could convince themselves you were dramatic, that you overreacted, that you just needed time and would come back like you always did. But you didn't. And now, for the first time, they're left alone with the truth, with the version of themselves you were trying to explain, with the reflection they never wanted to see. You're not there anymore, not to calm them down, not to explain your hurt, not to clean up the emotional mess they left behind. You're not texting paragraphs to be understood. You're not defending your heart like it's on trial. You're just gone, and your silence is echoing through every corner of the space they thought you'd always fill. They start to wonder, what if you weren't crazy? What if you weren't needy or too sensitive? What if you were just exhausted from giving, from trying, from always being the one who cared more? That realization, It's uncomfortable. It humbles them in ways they're not ready for, because it's always been easier to point fingers at you than to look inward. But now, without your voice to blame, without your presence to soften their guilt, they have to face themselves. And that's the hardest part. Because silence doesn't just speak, it confronts. It holds people accountable in a way that words never could. And by day 18, your silence is doing what your love never could. It's making them feel what they always made you carry. By day 21, the silence gets to them. Not because they've changed, not because they've had some grand awakening, but because the quiet is too loud now. It echoes. It repeats every truth they've tried to avoid. Every moment they dismissed you. Every time they thought you'd always be there. They reach out, not with apology, not with accountability, but with softness. With vague, safe messages. Hey, just checking in. Or saw something that reminded me of you. Maybe even a comment on your post. Something casual, like they're just being friendly. But behind those carefully chosen words is a burning question they can't say out loud. Are you still mine? They're not looking for closure. They're looking for access. They want to know if the door is still open. If the version of you they once took for granted still exists. But what they don't know is that you're not the same person who waited by the phone. You're not the same heart that ached for a message, any message. You've changed, not into someone cold, not into someone bitter, but into someone free. You've grown in your silence. You've made peace with the unanswered questions. You stopped needing an apology to heal. You stopped needing someone else's recognition to feel valuable. The silence they feared. You've learned to live in it. And then you learned to love it, because silence gave you the one thing they never could. Clarity. And by now, you're not angry. You're just not interested. Not in half efforts. Not in breadcrumb conversations. Not in recycled attention that comes without change. You no longer wait for closure. You became it. And their soft return? It arrives too late for someone who no longer needs to be chosen to know they were always enough. By day 25, the discomfort settles in. Not for you, but for them. They start to feel something they didn't expect. The weight of your absence. Not because you're punishing them, not because you're angry, but because you've stopped giving. And when someone has grown used to your endless emotional generosity, your silence feels like starvation. They're confused, not by your actions, but by your calm. You used to react. You used to chase, explain, overthink, beg to be understood. Now, you do nothing. And that nothing speaks louder than any outburst ever could. It tells them you've seen enough, felt enough, given enough. And that scares them. Because when you stop giving your energy, your time, your care, what they're really losing is the power they held over you, the ability to get a rise out of you, to push a button and watch you respond. That's gone now. And people who are used to control, they don't handle loss well. So they try everything. Sweet messages, guilt-tripping, subtle reminders of the good times, mixed signals to confuse you, to test the waters, to regain control. But you've changed. You don't fall for confusion anymore. You don't see chaos as love. You don't confuse guilt with connection. Your silence isn't stubbornness. It's self-protection. And for the first time, they realize they can't reach you the way they used to, because you're not who you used to be. And that truth, it's finally louder than your silence. By day 30, they either come back desperate or disappear completely, and both are a blessing. If they come back, it means they felt your loss. If they don't, it means your silence revealed what your presence kept hidden. They were never truly there for you. Either way, you win. Because silence doesn't just show you who others are. It reveals who you've become. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about making them suffer. This is about choosing peace over chaos, self-worth over validation, healing over history. And once you cross that 30-day mark, you'll never want to go back to the noise, because you'll see just how much energy you were wasting trying to explain your heart to people who only listen to their ego. So what really happens when you stay silent for 30 days? You don't just lose people, you lose illusions. You lose the fantasy of what could have been. You lose the addiction to being understood. And in that loss, you gain something far more powerful: freedom. Freedom from their expectations. Freedom from your own emotional dependence. Freedom from the need to be chosen. You start realizing that peace is not in someone coming back. It's in you not needing them to. That strength is not in how loudly you speak, but how calmly you walk away. That healing is not found in closure from them, but in clarity from within. You don't need to announce your transformation. They'll feel it in your absence. You don't need to prove your value. Your silence already did that. You don't need to win them back, because you already won. You chose yourself. And here's the raw truth. The people who deserve your silence the least are often the ones who need it the most, not to hurt them, but to help them realize they can't treat people like options and expect loyalty. They can't ignore your worth and expect access. They can't keep you close and push you away, then act surprised when you disappear. So, stay silent, not to teach them a lesson, but to remind yourself that you've already learned yours. Let them feel the void they created. Let them sit with the silence they never thought would last. And if they ever come back, let your peace answer the door.